So you have no idea right now?
There's another one. Another plane just hit. Right, oh my gosh, another plane has just hit. It hit another building, flew right into the middle of it. Explosion. My God, it's right in the middle of the building.
This one into the East Tower?
Yes, right in the middle of the building.
Good morning, JAGs.
Today we bring you a 9/11 news special.
The following are some of the teachers and administrators we interviewed on campus today.
For those who have lived through it, it's clear that today is very important.
September 11. I remember like it was yesterday. I was working in an office as a portfolio manager, and we were looking at the TVs where they had the NASDAQ and the New York Stock Exchange. We're looking at the market, and all of a sudden they changed all of that and showed images or video footage of the planes hitting the World Trade Center. It was a very emotional time for me and my family. They shut down the office. Everybody rushed home. I rushed home, picked up my kids from school, went home, and I cried pretty much all night because it made you realize the importance of life.
I was actually in school on 9/11 when it happened. I remember like everybody starting to like kind of freak out a little bit. My teachers were scared, and I remember we actually thought it wasn't real, like it was an accident at first, until they turned the news on, and when the second plane hit, that's when everyone really started to like realize that it wasn't like an accident. Then everyone started getting signed out of class, and it was a weird thing because I was a younger kid at the time.
At Crescent City High School. It's my first ROTC job. And we had the news TV up in our room. And we were watching it, and then all of a sudden it broke into the station, and we all watched it live right there, first period in the morning. All the kids were like, ah! And I was like, wow, I thought it was fake there for a minute, but then no, it was real. It was made you cry. Yes, it did.
We had the video capability of bringing in news from the outside, and he turned on the video, and at that time we watched as the second plane flew into the World Trade Center. At that time, within the next half hour, the reports came in of the crash going into the Pentagon. Later on, the crash that went into the field. And all of a sudden, here we were sitting in this academy class at the police department, knowing that our jobs in law enforcement were forever going to be changed, as were all our other public safety brothers and sisters, the fire departments, first responders. And so it was a extremely sobering time. As you sat there watching the images, watching people jump from the World Trade Centers to their deaths, knowing that they felt it was better to die from that kind of an impact as opposed to burning to death, you realized how serious it was. And as you watched the towers as they came down, knowing that all the police and fire personnel were inside, it was an extremely difficult moment. We had a lot of police officers and firefighters from Indianapolis that within 2 or 3 days were taking all their emergency trucks and everything and going to New York to help, and with all the aftermath there. And to this day, some of them have suffered from cancer and after effects because of all the things that they were exposed to.
On the day that the Twin Towers were bombed, I was working as an ESE teacher in Immokalee, Florida, also as a football coach. I was walking down the hallway. Somebody ran out of the classroom after watching CNN and said the Twin Towers have been bombed. So that's where I was. It really impacted the country at that time. It brought us together closer around that event, made us realize we were not as safe as we thought we were. It changed the way we had to travel and how we had to interact with each other.
I was actually employed with the fire department at the time. I'm a 30-year retired firefighter, fire captain, and I was sitting at the firehouse on Tuesday morning, getting my lesson plan ready for training. And when all that happened on September 11th, 2001, everything stopped. We didn't have any training that day, fire training. We were all just glued to the television and watching what transpired. and you know what transpired through the day with rescue operations. I had a lot of friends go to 9/11 to help out. The firefighters are a big brotherhood, and even law enforcement, police brotherhood, and people threw stuff in their pickup trucks and headed north to New York City to help out whatever they could with rescue operations.
I was in high school, 9th grade, 9th or 10th grade? No, it was 9th grade. And I was in English class. Principal told us all the teachers to turn on the TV. They turned them on, and we got to watch it live. So I was sitting there in class. Pretty much school still continued, but they really didn't. Everyone just watched the news all day for all the periods. Obviously, being at that young age in high school, you don't know a lot of things, and it really didn't hit you, you know, that the people that you've seen on TV were actually real people, mothers, fathers, brothers, sisters, and seeing them, you know, falling out of the sky like they were to escape that horrible death, and watching the buildings collapse, it was terrible. So 1 year later, I enlisted in the military.
Of course, me being retired, I thought maybe I should go sign back up and help out. I could use my expertise. And I wrote the government, asked them, said, hey, can you use me? I'd like to help out since this happened. Because everybody was joining at that time, you know. And so I wanted to do my part. And they told me, nope, you're good, right? We were at teaching them ROTC kids, you need to stay there. Now, teaching ROTC 28 years later, telling the kids that how big this day is and what it meant to me and what it means to them.
And for me, I wanted to be more of that parent figure for my kids. So it really changed how Americans were with their families, because we got to appreciate that life is too short and you have to enjoy every moment of your life. And I just want to say that September 11 will forever be ingrained in my heart, because it really changed, and it's the reason that I'm in education today.